Get ready, South Bay. On October 9th from 5 to 9 p.m. at the stunning California Surf Club in Redondo Beach, Thrive South Bay is bringing women together for an unforgettable night of empowerment, clarity, and connection. Think motivational speakers, collaborative workshops, high-energy networking, and a surprise guest you will not want to miss, all as the sun sets on the coast. It's time to realign with what matters most and step into your next level, mind, body, and purpose. Grab your spot today at thrivesouthbay.com. Welcome to Season 2 of Where Passion Meets Purpose. I'm your host, Jen Mentesana. Each week, I sit down with entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and trailblazers who share their raw, real stories of perseverance, resilience, and building a life and business with impact. We talk about everything from entrepreneurship and family to purpose and living fully. My goal is to inspire you to start that dream, push through the hard seasons, and wake up every single day ready to live the life you were born to live with passion and purpose. Welcome back, everyone, to Where Passion Meets Purpose. I'm your host, Jen Mentesana, and as you can tell, we're back in the studio today. We have two incredible guests. We have our resident guest, Corry Matthews. I think you've been on the show a few times now, and always love having you, and you're my partner in crime in so many ways. And as you know, Corry is a nutritionist, a health and wellness coach, and hormone balancing coach. She's got a cookbook coming out that I can't wait to talk about. And then we have Nurse Nar here from Bay and Bow Aesthetics, and you were a emergency room nurse, and now you're an entrepreneur. You've started your own practice. You're helping women in health and beauty and wellness and all the amazing things. So I can't wait to dive into talking to you more about what you do and how you help women feel amazing and look amazing. And so, yeah, without further ado, welcome to the show.
Hi.
So good to see you. And we just met you.
Yes.
I think it's been a couple of weeks now, but both Corry and I fell in love with you at this amazing networking group we were at. And we were like, she is so cool. Like, we just want to, first of all, we just want to know her and be her friend.
Right.
Yeah. But just everything you were talking about and just your presence and your energy and your knowledge, not only in beauty, but in just overall health, being an emergency room nurse and for so many years and having that background, we just were like, she has got to know some cool stuff.
Yeah.
So we couldn't wait to have you on the show. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey, kind of how you got started from going from being an emergency nurse into entrepreneurship?
Yeah. No, well, first of all, thank you. This is what a great introduction. I'm so excited to be here. So I started my career as an ER nurse and I absolutely loved it. I loved the relationships that I built with everyone, but what was missing was they were stabilized, and they were gone. So the rapport that I built with everyone was just kind of like, it was very short. So I decided, I'm like, you know what? I needed something more. I needed something, not only am I changing the person's life, but it was very, I didn't want to work for a huge establishment where it was money driven or it was insurance based, or there were so many ups and downs in the emergency room. So when I got into the field of aesthetics, very, very different, I said, okay, this is actually really cool because people will love not only the way they look, right, but it's the way they feel. And then as a business owner, it was more about autonomy, not rush. It wasn't insurance company driven. It wasn't out the door you go. It was you take your time. People want to be heard. So you listen to them. You build that rapport and long lasting relationships. So when I transitioned, I was like, this is it. This is great.
That's so awesome. And so obviously this is a passion of yours.
Absolutely.
I mean, the show is called Where Passion Meets Purpose. So most of the women or people that come on the show have stepped into that passion, that purpose in life, and are really living that dream. But we all know entrepreneurship is a roller coaster.
Oh, yeah.
It's not for everybody.
Oh, yeah.
You have your ups and downs for sure. And so I have a question maybe for you, Corry. How do you stay in that passion and that purpose of what you're doing when you're dealing with things like what we just talked about with being behind the scenes and dealing with stuff on your website and technology and all the frustrating things that can kind of take you down in your day? How do you stay in the passion for what you do?
I think ultimately, and I've really been looking at this more, is that what is it ultimately that I want to do? Where am I feeling my calling to? And it's, I find so many times when I talk to people about being frustrated about, social media or technology or even competition in the work field of what we do. And I'm like, at the end of the day, the reason why people aren't getting what they need is because they don't know about me. They don't know about what I do. And so when things are falling apart, I'm like, I just got to keep going, because I remember those stories of the women where I get a text message and says, I'm sleeping better. I feel so much better. I'm not screaming at my kids or my husband, or, especially with the women that I work with in like perimenopause and menopause, like I feel like myself again for once in my life. So I just got to keep reminding myself at the end of the day, that's why I do it, because I want people to really feel better, and it makes me feel better. And so I just keep going and just say, some days I got to go take a nap or go outside and scream at somebody, or, whatever. I mean, we're all human, but it's just keep going.
Yeah, just keep going. I think that's the lesson. It's like, that movie, Finding Nemo, Just Keep Swimming.
Oh, yeah.
I think about that movie and that song, and I can hear Dory, just keep swimming, and thinking like, yes, that's all it is. That is all it is. There are rough days, and there are days where you're like, what am I doing? Is this worth it? But then you think, what else would I be doing? Of course, this is my path, and it's staying in that why every single day to remind yourself that, this is why I do it. And yes, not everything is perfect, and it's not all sunshine and roses and rockets and rainbows, right? There's tough days, but it's all worthwhile in the end, because you're staying in your why and your purpose and your calling and what you're meant to do. So on that note, you're both moms, and we all know what it's like to be an entrepreneur, a mom, a wife, have all the things going on. How do you stay? And I always say on the show, balance is BS. Sorry, I don't believe in full balance. I think we can strive to achieve balance, but how do you stay, in that place of joy and presence with your family when you're also running a business and all the demands of entrepreneurship?
First off, I think that a lot of moms, they just give. That's all they do. So even if they need to touch up their root or like their hair roots or get their nails done, they don't. It's on the back burner. So one, you start looking like crap. And then two, because you're constantly, I have to feed the kids. I have to do this for my husband. I have to do that. I have to do the gardening. So finding that balance, BS balance, is, I don't even know if we could even balance it out, but sometimes, and I hate using the word, you have to be selfish, because I don't want to have like a negative connotation to it, but you have to put yourself first, because if you start to feel good, look good, take a walk down the street, the beach, grab coffee with your girlfriends, have a good laugh. It's the simple things like getting your nails done that the men don't think about. And no diss on the men, right? If they want to go get a haircut, oh, babe, I'm going to go grab get my haircut, by all means. But for us, it's like, are you okay to wash the kids? Who's going to take the kids here? So you have to plan everything out. But when you put yourself first and you look good, feel good, then you don't have the resentment towards the family. Like, I didn't even get to do this. I didn't even get to go have coffee or get my hair done or whatever. So it's just taking even that 30 minutes out of your day, walk away and just do something. Go grab coffee, whatever.
Yes. I always say go for a walk. It's the easiest thing you can do for yourself if you don't have that nail appointment scheduled or whatever that makes you feel good. Just go for a walk, get out in nature and ground yourself a little bit and remember your why. And okay, my kids are a priority and my business is a priority. How can I be in more presence and balance? Like, I have to check in with myself a lot when I start getting too far down a certain road. And you brought up a really good point that I would love to kind of touch on, is this idea that self-care and beauty go hand in hand. I think that's so important in today's society because, there's so many beautiful images of women out there, and there's one concept of beauty. And then there's this other concept that is, why are you spending so much money? Why do you spend so much time? Why do we care so much about how we look? And I'd love for you to touch on that a little bit, about that kind of stigma around beauty and self-care and what that really means to you.
I think when we talk about beauty and self-care, it just kind of trickles down to self-empowerment. So if you, for example, carry a certain type of bag, or you wear a certain brand name of like sunglasses, there was a reason you purchased that. You made that huge purchase. And it's because there's a light within you that shines when you put on those pair of sunglasses, or you carry that purse, or you put on wedges, right? When we talk about beauty as a whole, like in the industry, it's so subjective, because everyone can think of beauty as a different way. You could have pink hair, that's beautiful. You can be wearing skin tight clothes, whatever the case is, right? So it's the reflection, right? So let's say, if we're even talking about weight or your Botox or fillers, it's not what is on the scale, but it's the reflection that you see when you look at yourself in the mirror, right? So if you've gotten your highlights done or whatever, you don't even have to get anything physically, like not like that, but it's what you feel on the inside when you look at yourself in the mirror. That's your reflection, right? What are you saying to yourself in the mornings, every morning, or at night when you put on your pajamas and you go to sleep? So it's really, really important for us to hone in on, okay, what the why behind why we do the things that we do, and our purpose in life. It's the reflection that you see.
Well, and I think it adds into like a confidence thing. I know like when I work with, clients and they get to a certain point where, whether it's some sort of physical, they wanted to lose weight, or, they wanted to be more toned or whatever, it just improves their confidence. And then they go step by step and kind of, one of the things I was thinking about, like with the balance of, motherhood and all that kind of stuff, I have 2 teen girls. So, it's one of those things that if I don't show them this is possible, where else are they going to see that? I think it's a little bit different, like when we look at boys and boys watching their dads and, their fathers grow up, it's always go out and get a job and get a career and do that. But you don't see that so much with women, so having girls understand that this is okay and this is what we need to do. But it's this whole thing that, one of the things, I was thinking about kind of when you were talking about this, like I have women reach out to me all the time and they're like, I want to lose 5 to 10 pounds, but they can't tell anybody that because everybody looks at them and goes, well, what? You only have 10 pounds to lose, like big deal.
100%.
But it goes back to that whole beauty and how they feel about themselves and their confidence and not feeling like themselves anymore. And so it's this really tricky situation that women navigate in so many ways. So I think the best thing is for women like us to get together and say, this is okay.
100%. I think you just touched on this so beautifully, because I think for me, I know I was going to mention that, I was on your hormone cleanse, and then, or your detox, and then your hormone program, balancing program. And I have felt amazing since March. It's just been a game changer for me, for the way I feel about myself, for the way I fit in my jeans. The bloatedness has gone away, all of those things. But 2 weeks ago, I started eating more bread. And all of a sudden I was like, I feel crappy. I'm bloated again, all these things. And I was just noticing I was having more bread in my diet again. And I'm like, my God, this is it. This is what for whatever reason, this is causing a hormone imbalance in my body by having too much gluten, and realizing that and knowing that I could do something about it. But I mentioned something to someone, oh, I need to take off 5 pounds. And they're like, what are you talking about? And it's like this attitude. Well, it's not about what you look like. I'm not reflecting my feelings onto you. I'm saying this is how I feel, that I can notice that my jeans are tighter, that I don't feel good, that I feel heavy, that I'm tired, that all these things. So we don't need to justify anymore why we don't feel great about ourselves. We are allowed to look as amazing and feel as amazing as we want to. And I think whether that means that it's 5 pounds or 50 pounds. I think it's all about what's personal to you. And that's so important that we're having this conversation. And on that note, I would love to talk about all this buzz that's out there about GLP-1s, the drugs like, what is it? Ozempic and Mounjaro. Mm-hmm. Is it Mounjaro? Is that how you
Yeah.
This is a hot topic right now. I have friends who have lost weight on it, have maintained, and they feel amazing, and they couldn't lose weight any other way. And they went to their doctor, and this was a path for them that made sense. And then there's other women that are like, ooh, I want to get on that and lose 15 pounds because I just want to take that 15 pounds off. So I would love to let's put it out there. Let's throw, the stigma out there of what these weight loss drugs are doing. Are they healthy? Are they safe? When do you recommend it? I know you personally can prescribe these drugs in your aesthetic center. So yes. I'd love to talk a little bit more about this.
So when this first was introduced by famous people, let's just say on social media, and social media can be so good and so bad at the same time, right? Because someone can twist one little thing, and then all of a sudden becomes like, oh my gosh, it's so bad for you. But then it has helped so many other people with their triglycerides, their LDLs, their just cholesterol in general, or their well-being physiologically, that it's important to understand, am I a good candidate for this, right? So not everyone is a good candidate. Does it have, like physically, yes, you're going to lose a lot of weight depending on what dosing you're on, not to even get into all that, but just in general, the dosing and how long you're on it. You cannot compare your journey to anyone else's journey. So if patient A has lost 50 pounds and you're stuck on 20, your body is just reacting a different way. So if someone also says, I need to lose 5 to 10 pounds, who are we to say, no, you shouldn't, you're okay, right? Because your stature is going to be very different than my stature. Or if, let's just say hypothetically, if I were to weigh 120 pounds, I would look very, very gaunt and skinny, right? But if patient A was 120 pounds, they're overweight. To them, that's their overweight feeling. And in reality, you also have to think with the perimenopause and all that, your body's changing. You're not going to look the way you did 20, 25 years ago. So when you look at these Google photos that come up, right? And they just pop up, the ones that just pop up on your phone, you can't say, oh my goodness, I wish I looked like that. You can get to that slowly. But will your body, the tone and musculature, like all of that, is that going to be the same? Probably not, but GLP-1s, they're a fantastic way to lose the weight, but it is a tool. It's not like I'm going to eat a big pizza pie and then I'm going to lose 20 pounds. You still have to do the work at home, right? It's like us being your personal trainer. You got to do the work at home. You got to work out at home.
Absolutely. And that's such a good point. And to Corry, I would love to ask you about nutrition along with these weight loss drugs or GLP-1s. Like how important is it, especially for women in their perimenopause phase, to still be balancing their hormones, still be watching nutrition? I know that these drugs tend to not make you very hungry, but what would you say, like, if you two were working together with a client or a patient and she came to you and she said, I want to lose 20 pounds, but I want to know about nutrition, then where do you come in that conversation?
Well, and the key is too, a lot of people, so this really goes back to the fundamental of understanding hormones. We talk about hormones because the GLPs are really going after insulin resistance. And so we're talking about insulin, and that's one of those big hormones that when people talk about metabolism and they talk about weight loss, I'm like, there's some big ones that are here. Like you've got your insulin, you've got your thyroid, and you've got your cortisol. What I see with a lot of women, and especially when women hit their 40s, is their estrogen and progesterone start to change. So that's that whole midlife shift. Then that starts to impact their insulin and their cortisol and the thyroid. So they're all kind of combined and working together. So people don't understand that. And what happens is sometimes when people still work on some of that stuff, they're still left with the fact that I just can't lose weight. And so there probably is some situation there where there is some insulin resistance. And that all goes back to, where these drugs were all originated was with diabetes, which the whole core of that is insulin. And so when we start to look at that, and I've worked with numerous clients where they come to me and they work with it. Recently, I've worked with a lot of people, whether they want to get off GLP-1s. There's a lot of stigma out there that says, well, you have to be on these drugs forever. You can't ever come off of them. If you haven't learned how to fix your nutrition in the process of this, you're right, you can't come off because you can't go on these drugs, which basically slows down your digestion. So you're eating less calories and not have fixed how you're eating and then go off the drug that's been helping you and then go back to the lifestyle that you were eating. If you are coming to this and you've got 40 pounds to lose, there's a reason probably why you're 40 pounds overweight. There's the rare occasion of, I recently had a client that I was working with. She worked with me for a year and we were working on, helping her lose weight and eating healthy and everything. And I got to the point I was like, you really need to go to a doctor now and you really need to talk about it. You are a prime perfect candidate for a GLP because you're really struggling and there's a lot of things. And sure enough, when they went in, they were like, her estrogen was off and she had a cyst on her ovaries. And there were all these other things that they finally were like, yes. And she was the perfect prime candidate for it. But she went into it and she's had really, really good success because in this process of eating really reduced calories, which a lot of people talk about the GLP-1s and how and you can address this too, how it quiets the food noise. There isn't a better time in your entire life than if you have something that's helping you quiet food noise. So you're not saying, I need pizza, I need cookies, I need alcohol. that's the perfect time to work with someone like me to how do we overhaul that nutrition so that, when you come off the GLP or just ultimately, it's not just about losing weight. You also want to be healthy, And so if you can use this as a tool to get healthier and improve your life and all these other things, improve your nutrition while you're doing this because you have this best tool to do it. And there's a lot of people talk about the side effects of, the nausea and the, indigestion and all those other kind of things. One of my clients, it was the same thing. She wanted to do this. And she came to me, she's like, full disclosure, like I plan on going on a GLP. She's like, I have horrible heart disease in my family. I've got really bad, high blood pressure and high cholesterol, but I want to be set up right. So she did my whole hormone solution, got her in the right spot. She learned all those nutrition tools. She went in. She was using the GLP. She just came off of it, but she has now been off of it for 1 to 2 months and she's maintained her weight. She's maintained everything. All of her health markers are better. So that was for her. Ultimately, she wanted to lose some weight, but she's like, the cholesterol and the high blood pressure are going to kill me, not the weight. So I have to fix this. So, that was kind of a long-winded way to do it, but it's a fascinating tool. But not if you're just going to go on it just to drop the weight.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I was just going to say, it's such a good point. So many people were and still are looking at this as the quick fix, right? And I think we all know by now, there is no quick fix. There's always fad diets. There's always things that come and go. There's no quick fix. This starts, of course, coming from me, I'm going to say this, as a mindset. It starts as a decision to say, how am I going to take charge of my health? And first and foremost, okay, what are the issues? Taking a look at my diet. Like that's the first step, my exercise routine. Am I getting enough weight and strength training? Which is a huge part that we should probably add into that is that strength training along with GLP-1s, along with nutrition is how you are going to be the healthiest that you can possibly be. And I think a lot of people talk about that like gaunt, saggy skin look. Mm-hmm. That can be combated with strength training and weight training, all of that. You can't just go on GLP-1s and lose a ton of weight and think that you're not going to work out and it's going to look good. I think that's a big misconception too. But I think this idea that we're looking at this as a quick fix and like, let's just go in, take a shot, and then everything goes away is the wrong attitude to have. And it starts with looking at your overall health first and foremost and using this as a tool or as part of the solution.
I think both of you made a great point with it has to be a mental shift. So when you start, let's say if you were to start the GLP-1, the semaglutide or the tirzepatide, you don't want to start at a high dose, right? So when you first start off, you want to acclimate your body to the medication so that you don't get nauseated and sick and all that, because it is a medication, right? So when you microdose and you slowly increase the dosing, yes, you will see the scale go down, but it's also, okay, how am I eating? What am I putting into my body? I'm doing everything right, Nar. I swear to God, I'm doing everything right. But then I always say, are you though? Because you might think what's right is not speak to, let's say, someone like Corry, who is an expert in nutrition and will tell you, hey, there's a shift. Maybe you need to do this instead. And they're like, oh yeah, then the light bulb goes off. And then once you hit your goal weight, then you can slowly titrate down because the mental shift of eating right and drinking and exercising and all that jazz, that's what you're implementing into your daily life. The medication is just there to help you. Like we're guiding you in doing that.
Exactly. Well, I'm so appreciative because this is something I've always been curious about. I have a ton of friends who've been on it. Most of them who've done these GLP-1s and then they get off and they lose the weight right back. And so it's important we're having this conversation about this is all big picture stuff. This is choosing to shift your lifestyle and the way that you look at how you take care of yourself and your health, your wellness, your mental well-being, all of those things. So I love this conversation. I mean, if the two of you were to come together and create a movement, I think we could really change the way people are looking at these weight loss drugs, because I know there's a lot of, just misinformation out there. There's a lot of fear. There's always going to come with fear and anxiety when it's drugs. And, my inclination is never to use a drug for anything unless it's absolutely absolutely necessary. So I'm the person that goes to Corry first. I haven't even gotten on hormone replacement yet because I'm like, I don't want to do it unless I absolutely have to. So I tried the cleanse. I did that. That worked. And now I'm noticing a little more hot flashes and some other things going on. I had what I call, my girlfriend calls a category 5 hot flash the other night where I was literally lying naked on the floor in my bedroom in the middle, like 2:00 in the morning with a fan on me. Like, oh my God, I think I'm going to throw up because it was so intense. I don't know how much nutrition really could help with that, but maybe. But the point is, I'm at that age where, it's something to look at. But there are all these options for us as women. I think that's the amazing thing right now is that think about how our mothers went through this stuff. They just had to grin and bear it. And God forbid you talked about it. I mean, talking about menopause, it was like the bad M word. You didn't talk about it. It was shameful to admit that you were going through menopause. And now we talk about it like a badge of honor.
Well, and most women don't understand. I tell all the women that I talk to, ask your mom about how her menopause was. And they're like, what? I'm like, you will be surprised. Because I remember for me, and one of the symptoms that isn't talked about is rage. My rage was so bad. I was like, this isn't, because nobody talks about rage. They talk about the hot flashes is what most people, I would get to the point where I was like, I'm literally going to drive this person off the side of the road, like get out. And I was like, what is going on? And I was talking to my mom, and I started talking to people, and they're like, oh, that's a very common side effect. But people don't know that. Like, if we don't start talking about this stuff, people don't understand. I just want to go back to one thing too. I find a lot of people when they talk to nutritionists, mainly because what you mentioned, I thought it was so important when you said, I want to try everything natural before I try something. A lot of people, when they'll reach out to me, they're really nervous to mention the fact that I'm on a GLP-1 or I tried one or I'm currently taking one. For me, I need to know that. If you're doing that, and I don't judge you in any way, shape, or form if you're doing that, but in designing your nutrition plan and your workout plan, I absolutely need to know if there's something that's going to make it so you're not hungry. People talk about protein. I know you mentioned protein, so I'd just throw this in. And one of the things that in my 25 years of owning nutrition stores, if you need to get in protein, but you're really, really struggling. So this is what I do with people. If I've got a client and they are trying to lose weight and I need to reduce their calorie load because I need to do that to get them to lose weight, you've got to have, there has to be a shift in calories there. If we're going to get you to lose weight, you have to have a deficit. I will put them on solid protein because if they eat solid protein, it makes them feel much, much fuller. Now, if it's the flip side, I used to do this all the time with my football players, martial artists that came in and they're like, I have to get tons of calories, but I just can't get them in. Liquid protein is a great option. So for my clients that are doing GLP-1s and they're like, I just can't do it, that's where I see things like on my social media. If you see, like recently I've been putting the lemonade protein or the protein bowls. Those are really, really great tools. So just so that people get something out of here, in terms of like what they can do with protein or how to do it, there are ways to do that. So that's why I say talk to someone where their field is nutrition and they do it all day, every day, if you're struggling with these things, because they can give you a lot of tips to actually get to there when it's really, really hard to find things that you want to eat.
Yeah, I think this is so true. I'm talking constantly like, how can I get more protein in my diet? I think just learning from you now, it's like, and protein is all the rage right now. And I don't think it's a fad. I mean, this is science, and we know that adding protein to your diet is the best way to not just lose weight, but to gain lean muscle mass and to give you more energy throughout your day. The carbs are fake energy, right? They're like the sugars that you feel full, and it gives you a little bit of energy, and then you crash later. So I try to keep my carbs at bay. I'm eating a lot of potatoes. I love potatoes. That was one thing you were like, have potatoes. If you're hungry, have potatoes. But the protein is really hard to get in. I find that's really, really hard. Like, what's a solution that I would just love any tips and tricks that you guys have to getting more protein?
For getting more protein?
Yeah.
Talk to Corry. I don't know. I mean,
She's I
struggle with it.
I'm just
the
like
same
constantly
way.
like, I'm comparing a chicken breast to an egg, and I'm like, okay, well, eggs only have 6 grams of protein versus a chicken breast has like 40 or something crazy.
Well, and here's the key with the whole thing about protein and how much protein you should get. The kind of gold standard that I've always been saying for the last 20 plus years when I've been talking to women is find out what your lean body weight is. So that is your muscles, bones, organs, and tissue. What is the weight of that lean body weight? Then you need 1 gram of protein for every pound of that. So if you take like the 130-pound woman, she's probably got about 100 pounds of lean body mass. So she needs 100 grams of protein. I think so many times they're scaring you as to how much protein it is. So if a woman needs 100 grams of protein, it's 25 grams at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then a snack with some protein in it. So it's not really hard to do when you break it down that way. But I see recently women that are weighing, 125 pounds saying they need 200 grams of protein. Well, let's not like destroy your kidneys and, all of these other things in this process while we're trying to do that. So understanding how much actual protein, and that's literally you can get a body mass index from anywhere. Go to your gym and ask them if they do body fat analysis. So you actually know what that number is before you're like stretching way up here, and it doesn't have to be that high.
Right. You just broke it down really well. Yeah.
There's so much pressure to finding out like how much macros do I need? Am I doing this right? Especially if you're new to the game and you have no idea what you're doing. Someone like Corry is fantastic because then it takes the work out of your work, basically, right? She's doing it for you, or someone like her is doing it for you and guiding you. And same thing with the GLP-1. So it is very important to find a practitioner that creates a safe space that you're able to honestly say, I want to be on GLP-1. Yes, maybe it is the 5 pounds, because they secretly will say, Nar, I know I'm crazy. I only want to lose the 5 pounds, but there's more to it than that, right? So finding a practitioner that does your blood work, understands your body physiologically and not just a scale or like a number is super important for your journey, because then you'll have someone like Corry or myself or whoever helping you and guiding you. And it just can't be one of those, I'm going to go online, I'm going to purchase GLP-1 and they're going to ship it to me. I'm going to inject myself. You don't know what you're doing, like why you're even doing it. Are you even placing it in the right place, injecting yourself? So it's very important. Don't be pressured into doing anything that you're uncomfortable doing. Find that practitioner that you're able to speak to very openly and freely without any judgment, and that it's done the right way.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because I can only imagine the women out there who feel shame, who don't want to go and admit that they went to a doctor to talk to someone about it and just want to say, oh, let me just try this, order it online and do that. I'm so glad you brought that up. And it brings me to a point also about, like, I'm a big believer in building your team, right? It's like the same thing as in your business. You build your team for your life. Who is your weight loss, person? Who's your nutritionist? And I know this used to be only celebrities had a nutritionist, right? Or and you have your doctor, you have your OBGYN, you have your internist, you have your personal trainer that you go to at your gym, you have your CEOs of your household. All of these things, you have to build a team around you to really have a healthy, well-balanced life. And that's in business and your health for sure. So I don't pretend to know all this stuff. I come to you. I text Corry all day long. How much can I have? What is this? How much sugar is in this? What should I substitute? I mean, now she's on my speed dial. She's probably so over it. But because I did this hormone health solution, now I'm like, I love this. Like, I love that I know exactly what I'm putting in my body that's fueling me. You have to have your own personal specialists in every aspect of your life if you want to live and truly thrive in this life, be healthy mentally, physically, spiritually, all those things. You got to have your board of directors and your team on your side. So I'm so glad you brought that up. So ladies, I am so grateful for this conversation. We could go on and on. I feel like we could dive into so many aspects of this, but we're going to wrap up, and I want everyone to know where they can find you, social media, your aesthetic studio, where you're located here in the South Bay in Torrance, California. Awesome. And tell us where they can find you online.
Sure. I mean, I always joke and say, as long as you can spell my name, you can find me. So it's Corry, Corry, and then Matthews with 2 T's. Yes, like Boy Meets World, if you're old enough to know that one. But you can do that, or strengthandgracefitness.com.
Awesome.
My Instagram is Nurse Nar _aesthetics. And then on Facebook, I think it's NAR and then Abadian, Abadian. Real quick, my social media, it's more everything that we just basically talked about is more so on my social media, like private social media, which I'm on public, but you could just see it. But you could also go to bayandbowaesthetics.com. Yeah.
Okay, amazing. And we'll have all this info in the show notes so everyone can find you. And then Corry, I think we have an announcement you might want to share before we wrap up.
So Jen and I are really excited. We've been working behind the scenes on an event. And so it is Thrive South Bay. And so we're super excited about it. We've just finalized all the details. It's coming on October 9th. It's going to be at the California Surf Club. So we're super excited about it. And it's going to be basically bringing everything that she and I are so passionate about to life. And it is also going to be the book launch for both of us. So she's got a book coming out, Guided by Grace, and I've got my Strength and Grace Kitchen. And highly, we didn't know that neither one of us until we said the names of our books that we both have grace in there. So I was like, wow, even more fitting. But so very, very excited about it coming out. And it's just, we're just ready to just hit go. We had to kind of hold until we had all the details, but super, super excited about it. It's just going to be a night, overlooking the sunset. You can't get much better than that in California.
And October in Southern California is magical. The sunsets are magical, and we know these tickets are going to go fast and sell out. So are we putting the tickets on sale tomorrow?
Oh. They're actually online right now. Somebody finds them.
Okay. Well, they are online right now, so you can go to
thrivesouthbay.com.
thrivesouthbay.com. Our tickets for our event, Thrive South Bay, are online. They're going to go fast. We have limited seats. It's a very highly coveted event space and location, so I know they're going to sell fast. And we do have a special guest speaker that's going to be coming that we're not announcing yet. That's going to be amazing. So you guys don't want to miss this event, so make sure you check that out. And we'll have all that info in the show notes. Thank you so much for joining us on this special edition in the studio of Where Passion Meets Purpose, and we'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you found this episode beneficial, and if you feel compelled to do so, share it with a friend who might benefit too. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss an episode. Reach out to me anytime on my website at jenmentesana.com.